So it's been about 2 years since Bungie released the previous State of the Game blog post. That was back in August 2023 during the year of Lightfall, and at the time there were a lot of problems going on with the game that Bungie really needed to address. As we all know, Lightfall was not very well received for a variety of reasons ranging from a mediocre story, some server and connectivity issues. Bungie fell through on a couple of their promises in regards to DLC releases. For example, Bungie didn't release a new ritual armor set to the ritual playlists in Lightfall. They also didn't deliver on some of the promises they had for Lightfall in particular, like Fireteam Finder. That was not released in Lightfall, but it was delayed to Season 23. And so Bungie felt the need to release a State of the Game blog post in order to address this feedback and explain some of the reasons behind Bungie's decision making. Although at the time, this State of the Game was not very well received because a lot of Bungie's justifications for their mistakes, they felt like excuses to the community, and it ultimately resulted in Joe Blackburn coming out in a YouTube video personally addressing the Destiny community and outlining a roadmap for what the future of the game was going to be. At the time, that was a very positively received message because we saw the game director himself personally addressing the community and our concerns with the game at the time and trying his best to make the game as best as it could be. So currently, with the state Destiny is in right now, we're reaching lower daily active users than in Curse of Osiris, the previous record holder for the lowest daily active user count in Destiny 2. I think it's time Bungie starts really communicating with the community and maybe release a State of the Game blog post in order to really explain to the community what's been going on with the game. And so in this video, I'm going to be discussing why Bungie really needs to address the community directly, preferably in some sort of State of the Game post, in order to really talk to us and explain the reasons behind some of the recent decisions in the game. But first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Donkey and welcome back to another YouTube video. I'm trying to hit 1,500 subscribers by the end of the year, so I'd greatly appreciate your support if you hit the subscribe button down below, but let's get into the discussion. So State of the Game blog posts have been a historical way Bungie has communicated with the community during very important moments of issues occurring within the game. These haven't always been called or titled State of the Games. For example, when Luke Smith was the game director, his State of the Games were called Director's Cuts. But overall, the message and the format of the articles are very similar, where the game director comes out and addresses the issues that the game is directly experiencing and the feedback that players have been giving to Bungie. And so in this hypothetical new State of the Game that I would like Bungie to release, there's a couple of things I would like for them to talk about. First and foremost, they need to address the roadmap that Bungie has said is coming soon. DMG has mentioned a few times on Twitter about a supposed roadmap that is coming soon that outlines the future of Destiny over the next couple of months. We don't know much about it right now. DMG said they're heads down on this roadmap, trying to get concrete dates and details regarding the future of Destiny. I think first and foremost, Bungie should put that in the State of the Game, outline what's coming to the game and what's changing. Second, I think they really need to acknowledge the issues that the game is experiencing and give some type of reason for why Bungie made these decisions. For example, the portal. Last year, when Bungie was first revealing what the future of the game would be, when in a couple of teaser articles going over what Frontiers was going to look like, they mentioned the portal as being this new quick play screen that players would be able to interact with. The way they kind of presented the information at the time was not that the portal would become the new centerpiece of the game, but it would be a quick play menu where you could go into the game and quickly launch into certain activities and customize certain activities however you would like in order to play your way. But with the way the portal is currently implemented into the game, it's not an addition or a feature to the game that allows you to quickly matchmake or to quickly customize your favorite activity. It has instead become the centerpiece of the game, where it forces you to interact with the portal in order to progress your character in any way, shape, or form. But I think it would be a good idea that Bungie explains first and foremost why the portal shipped the way it does, and then go into saying what they're going to change about it in the future. Personally, I would like the portal to stay in the game. I think it has potential as a quick play menu I've talked about this a couple of times in previous videos. The issue with the portal is that it's supposed to be a feature in addition to the game we had before Edge of Fate, but Bungie just made the mistake of making the portal the game itself. I think it's important to talk about progression and power leveling and gear acquisition in the game. Right now, there's a couple of issues in this area. Power leveling is by far the grindiest it's ever been. And so Bungie has already taken some strides to make the power leveling easier. They're increasing the amount of drops we're getting per activity. They're increasing the power level jumps we're getting from each activity. And they also announced that they're not resetting our power level in Renegades. This, I think, overall is a win for the players, since our feedback has directly influenced Bungie into reversing some of their decisions regarding the power level grind. The main issue is this is a temporary band-aid fix on a serious problem. And so Bungie really needs to address their problems going forward regarding power leveling and gear acquisition. Because right now, the way gear is acquired directly linked to your power level, which feels a little bit backwards. Because the way the game is currently set up is you have to do a lot of front-loaded time investment in order to get the best gear in the game. It's not really directly linked to skill expression, which I think is a major problem. Doing the most difficult activities in the game doesn't necessarily reward you the best loot, because if your power level's not high enough, you're just not gonna get those tier 5s. And I think Bungie needs an avenue in the game where players can acquire the best gear through skill expression while still allowing people to grind it out through time commitment, so that those who maybe can't perform in the high skill areas can still get the best loot in the game by interacting with the game as a system. Next, I think Bungie needs to address some feedback regarding the content model of the game, this being the 2 expansions, 2 major update format of content release. The way they kind of portrayed this to us was that we would have Shadowkeep level expansions twice a year and a Into the Light level major update twice a year. So far, this hasn't really lived up to the promise. If you look at what Into the Light provided back in 2024, it had a lot more content than what Ash and Iron had. We got a completely brand new style of activity called Onslaught, which was a horde mode wave-based activity. You could get brand new earnable cosmetics through progressing the event, and they had one of the best endgame events ever, being Pantheon. But when you look at what Ash and Iron brought to the game, it brought nothing but recolored armor sets and a reskinned activity being Reclaim, which is just overthrow from the Pale Heart in a different location. And so I think Bungie really needs to address why Ash and Iron was such a failure and why it didn't live up to the expectations that Bungie themselves set. And finally, I think Bungie needs to address the current state of the core game, that being Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit, and what their philosophy is going forward regarding these core activities. Bungie has really neglected PvP as a game mode, with very, very few maps, and only populating the playlist with a variety of different sandbox updates, not so much new content overall. Not to mention, Gambit currently isn't even present in the portal, and Gambit hasn't seen any major support since 2018 during Season of the Drifter, which was the last time Bungie ever made a brand new Gambit map. And currently there are very few strikes being featured in the Fireteam Ops playlist, and there was actually even a strike removed with the release of Edge of Fate, that being the remastered Darkblade strike, which was released in Heresy, that is currently not even playable within the game. And so Bungie really needs to address what their plan is for these game modes going forward. Are they just going to abandon Gambit altogether? Is Crucible going to remain on life support? And is Bungie planning on adding the remaining strikes into the portal for more variety to play within Fireteam Ops? Overall, I think Bungie really needs to release the state of the game as soon as they can, so that they can really address the problems the community is facing. We're in a very dire moment for Destiny as a whole. We're hitting record low player numbers, and community sentiment is plummeting every single day. Bungie needs to act as soon as possible to try and remedy this situation and communicate to us as best as possible their plans going forward in order to fix the state of the game. But that's all for me, guys, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. If you enjoyed the video, I'd greatly appreciate your support by hitting the like button and subscribe button. But that's all for me, guys. Peace out.